Good evening, everyone. May we quickly start?
Yes, madam. Good evening, madam. Welcome to AP University. So now may I request Brigadier Arjun Rawat, our registrar, to welcome and introduce our speaker to students and faculty members. Over to Rawat, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Am I audible?
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir.
A very warm welcome to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the respected Vice Chancellor, Professor JSP Rao, our eminent faculty, and our dynamic young students, it's my privilege to give a very warm welcome to Mrs. Mamta Rani Agarwal ji. We are sure that after today's virtual interaction with us, she will physically visit this beautiful, clean, and green campus at JP University of Engineering and Technology. A brief introduction for Mrs. Agarwal. I'm proud to report that she's been a commissioned pilot officer in the Indian Armed Forces. In fact, she was part of that first batch of pilot officers. So since then, I'm sure she's been reaching for the skies. She's been flying high in diverse roles now in the field of education. She's been a director education with the Delhi government. She's been a joint secretary with the UGC, United University Grants Commission. She's been a former additional secretary with Association of Indian Universities, of which our university is also a member. And presently, I understand she's a senior advisor grade 1 with AICTE. More than that, she's a renowned communicator. She's been a speaker at the School of International and Public Affairs, University of Columbia in New York, where she's articulated on issues dealing with urban education, with school education, reforms in school education, and she's closely worked closer home on ATAL, that is the AICT Training and Learning Academy, which has done excellent work in the field of faculty training and development. As an educationist, she's a member of board of governors of many schools and universities, and she's also been an expert member of the task force on implementation of the NEP, National Education Policy 2020 of AICT, and specifically for the government of Gujarat. I understand she has recently completed editing and compiling this 5-volume reference book on NEP 2020. So without further ado, welcome ma'am, and we look forward to your views on this exciting topic, innovation and creativity. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now may I request Professor P.K. Singh, Dean JUET, to tell something about JP University to madam.
Thank you, Professor Tyagi.
I
Am I
think
audible?
I think admin should mute everyone because there is a lot of
A
noise.
lot of noise is coming. Yeah.
Dr. Amit, mute yourself. Dr. Amit
Tyagi,
Kumar.
am I audible?
Yes, sir.
You are audible, but there is a lot of noise. Definitely needs.
Please mute your mics, please.
Dr. Amit Sharma, mute your mic.
I think all the participants should be on mute, except the person who is speaking.
Yeah, Honorable Professor JSP Raiji, Vice Chancellor, JP University of Engineering and Technology, Guna. Dr. Mamta Rani Agarwal, Advisor, AICTE, today's speaker. Brigadier Arjun Rawatji, Registrar, JUET Guna, my esteemed colleagues and dear students, a very good afternoon to one and all. For the information of guest speaker, I would like to mention that JP University of Engineering and Technology was established in the year 2003 as JP Institute of Engineering and Technology on Agra Bombay Road, which got university status in the year 2010. JP University of Engineering Technology is 122.5-acre lush green carbon negative campus having various facilities like mass, health center, laundry, sewage treatment plants, etc. for students. At this university, we run undergraduate courses in computer science, electronics and communication, civil, mechanical, and chemical engineering. Besides these courses, we also run postgraduate and PhD programs in all these engineering branches as well as science. This university is remote center of IIT Bombay for National Mission on Education through ICT, which is funded by Ministry of Human Resource Development, New Delhi. This university is participant in Unnat Bharat Abhiyan of Ministry of Education, Government of India. JET got Green Champion Award from Mahatma Gandhi Rural Education, Ministry of Higher Education, Government of India in the month of July 2021, which was handed over to our Honorable Vice Chancellor by District Magistrate Guna. JUET has established institution Innovation Council as per Ministry of Education, Government of India. This university was selected by AICTE for hosting Taikathon 2021 Grand Finale, an event which is conducted by Government of India. So this is brief about the university, madam. Over to you, Professor Tyagi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Over to you, madam. You are mute, ma'am. You are mute.
A very good evening to all of you. Thank you, Brigadier Rawat, for such a generous introduction. A very, very good evening, and I can see many students have joined. So, probably, the way I have prepared and thought about this presentation, I think I need to change it because creativity and innovation, probably with respect to what students do it. Anyways, uh, Vice Chancellor of JP Institute of Engineering and University of Engineering and Technology, Guna, Madhya Pradesh, Professor Vipin Tyagi, other dignitaries, my eminent friends from academia, and very lovely students. It is indeed my proud privilege to address this August gathering. And the topic is very abstract, difficult innovation and creativity. It becomes all the more difficult when you are addressing a gathering in a virtual mode or in a digital mode where there is no bodily perception, there is no eye contact. I am not able to perceive others and others are not able to perceive me. But nonetheless, since I have been given, I should do this. Just before this program started, I was thinking that innovation and creativity, both being abstract terms, have a very far fetching and a very wide understanding, meaning, and connotation. I dare not speak about academia and research on this Google Meet platform because I feel that the kind of depth this platform has, this digital platform has on the topic, it will be highly inappropriate for me. So let me leave you with certain food for thought. Talk about importance of faculty, need for innovation, and even for students. Every Monday, I have been emphasizing and I have been addressing Atal Academy's inauguration session. And whenever I address those sessions, I always try telling my worthy colleagues, my worthy friends from academia, the need for innovation. Let's make it little interesting, and I think I would pause in between for a while because I would need some of your input. Academics in India have always been not for profit, and globally it has been the slowest moving business proposition. They say that if a university's balance sheet grows by 1%, then it is Harvard. If it actually grows by 2%, then it is Berkeley. And Berkeley has 15, and if maybe someone else may have got a Nobel Prize, 15 Nobel laureates. So, if academics is the slowest moving business preposition in the history of corporates, so just think about it that if we talk about 100 years back, and I ask you to actually make a list of top 10 universities in the world, 100 years back, compile a list of top 10 universities in the world. Which country do you think would have this kind of list, and where the maximum universities would actually belong to? In the chat box, anyone can answer, and I'm waiting. I don't have a message. No. Yes, there was Oxford and Cambridge, but Dr. Mahesh Kumar, absolutely no, no, not UK. Manoj Dubey ji, if we would have gone back to 2000 years back, then definitely it would have been India, Nalanda, Takshila. But I'm talking of 100 years back. So, without taking a little more time, 100 years back, the top 10 universities of the world were actually in Germany. Now we fast forward and come to today's time. So, if today I ask you to collate a list of top 10 universities in the world, which country would it be? Again, I'm pausing for a moment and waiting for your United States. Absolutely, Dr. Rachna Chaturvedi, you are right, you're bang on. So, United States. So, what did United States did differently that India or other countries did not do? They actually innovated education. They innovated education on all parameters. And when I talk about innovated education, whether it is about faculty and student selection, or it's about a culture of research and invention, I prefer to call it invention, and I'll come to it, the difference in invention and innovation. It's about a very, very strong university academia linkage, or it's about absolutely automated, autonomous functioning of educational institution. So, what is the underlying importance of innovation? Unless we innovate, we will be extinct. Innovation is not about growth, it's not about development, it is not even about what new, what creative, what better can be done. Today, and more so in today's context, it's sheerly about existence, it's about our survival. Innovation is about structuring future, and this is the difference in innovation and invention. Invention is a new discovery. Invention is a new thing, like electricity or maybe a bulb or internet. These are inventions. However, innovation is structuring future, structuring your own learning abilities, your own self, where you can say that you will still continue to remain relevant in times to come. And future is academia is not really decided by regulators, enablers like AICTE. It is a result of committed, continuous, combined effort of all stakeholders. Be it regulators, institutions, faculty, students, employee, each one of you, community, industry, all the stakeholders. So, in this context, I will tell you about innovation with giving various examples. Though I have prepared a slide show, but I am not too sure if you really need that because it was for primarily for faculty members and institutions. If my slide is visible,
Yes, ma'am.
innovation is about everything. Innovation is about your thought process, the way you think, your psychological leanings. It's about how you perceive various things. It's about processes. It's about products. It's about the way you have been doing different things. So it's a whole process of unlearning, learning, and relearning the whole concept. Now, I want to give you a few examples, and then I want to talk to you about innovation. And I want to specifically focus about innovations that have failed. So let me take an example of Kellogg's. Kellogg's is world leader in breakfast cereals. And past 25 years, Kellogg's has failed in India. And I want to tell you, it is world leader to the extent that people identify cereals. When you talk about breakfast cereals, they simply say Kellogg's. The CEO sits in Chicago and the headquarters is in Michigan, and he says one day we would be successful in India. So, a breakfast cereal that has been successful across the world, what did it do wrong in India? It did not understand the cultural context of India. And when I say cultural context, in Kellogg's, if you really, really see any breakfast, be it a vanilla flavor or a banana flavor, is to be actually taken with cold milk. This country, India, eats hot breakfast. So when you add hot breakfast, hot milk either to a banana flavor or to a vanilla flavor, what really happens is that the whole taste is absolutely spoiled. So, and there Mohan Mickens, the another company, it really, really cashed on this one weakness, or I would not say weakness, a lesser, lower understanding of customers by Kellogg's India, and they, absolutely swept them away of their business. So this is one example. Another example I want to tell you is lock industry of Aligarh. The entire lock industry of Aligarh, where the lock and key fitting combination was done manually, could not match pace with the technology that was imbibed, that was embedded by the Chinese lock makers, wherein they could fix unlimited permutations and combinations by use of machines. So they did not integrate technology with it. So it is the earlier was a cultural not understanding failure. This was a failure where a company, an entity, or even all the people who were owning the lock making factories did not understand that technology can be the biggest enabler. Just take this very, very disruptive, if we have to give, if I have to give a prize for the best innovator, maybe of the whole decade or a century, it would be COVID. Technology always existed before COVID. There was Zoom, there was Meet, there was Blue Jeans, there was Teams. Every technology existed. But just because our lives were not disrupted because of the COVID, we continue to use all different available ways and means of holding meetings, holding conferences, holding workshops in mode. So, what did it change? It changed our attitude. So, this is attitudinal innovation. So, and trust me, the best innovations happen with attitude change. So, this is an example of attitudinal innovation. There are innovations and there is creativity. So, when I am talking to the students here, and when I want to tell them about innovation and creativity, I just want to tell you that one is that you are absolutely blessed to be in era or in India. Our innovation index, every country is judged on certain index parameters, and innovation index being one of them. India has been doing fairly well and keep on going up in the ladder in the innovation index because the overall ambience is such that unicorns are born and sunicorns are born. Unicorn is any company whose revenue may have crossed $1 billion, and sunicorns are those entities that are soon to be unicorns. But when all these entity became unicorn or sunicorn or anything, there were few things which they did. Neat gap analysis. And I don't want to use the term customer, since I am actually referring to or addressing an academic entity. I want to say consumer or anybody for whom you are making a product, you are developing a device, you are actually developing a program or anything. So, customer need or gap analysis is the food for your growth factory. So whenever you want to think creative, I mean, and of course, there is a big debate that creativity is inherited, it is by birth, or it can be developed. But I was during the day I was attending a design thinking workshop. So yes, it is inherited, but it can be further sharpened or it can be further developed by that design thinking kind of a thing. So I have already told you that customer is need is the food for your growth factory. Innovation is always need or gap driven. This is my first sentence about it. We can always think about creating anything new, any concept, anything. But please understand, we cannot copy a country, we cannot copy a culture, we cannot copy a societal framework. And if you really think about the reason why Britishers were thrown out of India, and few things, if you really read it in the context, Britishers essentially tried to change the societal landscape of India by innovating in certain manners. Like they were forcibly giving certain cartoons where they said that those were laden with cows, this thing. They tried to do certain social reforms where sati pratha and all other things were uh, they were trying to ban. Bal Vivah, they were trying to ban. They were forcibly sending some of our young boys and girls to take part in world wars. So innovation can be disruptive, but it cannot change the basic societal framework of a society. So these are few things which I want to tell you. And once you have done a need analysis, you have to create a pipeline of programming ideas, and this is more for institutions, that unless you create a shared vision with your students, with your faculty members, unless you show them the dream which you are able to see, unless you show them the moon and stars which you are imagining in your thought, you people will not be aligned to your thought process. People would not really be thinking that your goal statement and their goal statement are essentially the same. Another thing is that once the shared vision has done, team have been developed, then you need to pilot those experimentation and validate all those ideas, those products. They need to be brought in from ideation to execution phase. Way back, with my husband, I was traveling to United States, and I had nothing to do, so I just moved to Stanford just for loitering around, and a chanced conversation with a professor and mathematics professor, and he said, "Why don't you join my class?" And I very happily followed him to his class, and he was teaching trigonometry to his student. And the first question he asked is that, "Why do you think trigonometry be taught, or what is its value, or do you think it is even important in our daily lives, or would it ever have any implications in our future lives?" And trust me, those 12, 15 minutes I sat in the class, it was a fish market. You don't expect this be happening in the country. So that concept of questions not being asked, that concept of students not continuously debating with their teachers, that concept of us, a junior teacher telling a dean it would not work out unless you nurture, unless you create, unless you progress, and unless you encourage that culture, creativity and innovation can't really come in. Few things, that communication and that dissemination of information and the connection, that connecting the dots. There is an idea, there is a culture of improvement, and continuous culture of improvement. It can't be a one day culture, continuous culture of improvement, and continuously understanding where is the gap and how am I filling in. If I am filling it in, am I filling it in correctly? And then creating that synergetic bonding among the team members with shared vision and with the same kind of alignment is what makes an ideation to basically an innovative idea or an innovative, successful idea. The few things I have been showing you these slides, and just my only intention to show you this slide is to make you unlearn and think about it that a lot of things can actually be done very differently than what we are doing today. Innovation also must be essentially be a part of governance process. Unless it is part of governance, it can definitely not match the way things are changing around us. We need to rethink how we run all our organizations, all our universities. This convergence of copying to combining, combining to transforming, and transforming to innovation and creativity, any idea can is barely 1 to 2%. The entire success lies in its execution. And all my dear students who are sitting here always have five frictional forces: doubt, conflict, anger, fear, and ego in control while working out on your creativity, while working out on your innovations, and elements to watch out for when you have moved from your comfort zone to your vulnerability zone. When you have gone from accepting things the way they are to a very appreciative, inquisitive inquiry mode. And when you have started to limit your doubts to their exponential belief which you have start having in yourself. These are some of the things very quickly before I sum up these some of the lessons, and not from me. There is a Center for Leadership at Kellogg's. These are 8 lessons about innovations worth sharing. Innovations are always a top down approach. It can't really be necessarily be a bottom up approach. So they need to create a vision, they need to have shared values, they need to show you the same dreams they have been witnessing for nights together. The best way to kill creativity is if the boss speaks first. So if you don't allow people to speak, to explore, to agree to disagree, or disagree to agree, the ideas do not flourish. The creativity is not encouraged. It doesn't really get propagated. And innovation can happen anywhere. So that prejudice, that stereotype that an IITian is better than NIT1, NIT is better than another C class engineering college, C is D is better than A is better than B. It doesn't work. The best idea can come from a garage, and Apple is an example, and it can actually be from the people who are dropouts. So when you say, I mean, I'm not able to recollect who said it, that the actual innovations happen outside the classroom, I definitely believe it, and I leave it to you, whatever is your take on it. It's definitely a team sport. Unless you connect people, unless you create synergy, unless you connect dots, unless you connect ideas, innovation can definitely not be a successful end product which makes lives better or can actually be enjoyed by communities, by societies, and by nations. It's never easy, but it's always possible. And it's only those people who have drowned till their head and still kept on, struggling to breathe are the people who finally make it. Very, very famous Warren Buffett, who is considered the father of the stock market, says he never ever invest in a company that claims that it would not fail, because unless you fail you don't learn, and unless you don't and if you don't learn, then you don't really fetch so far and you don't exist for long. Of course, I have already said that listen to ideas, reward braveries, embrace risk, and learn from failures. And all the people whom I have spoken to, they say that they have learned from their failed experiments far more than from their successful ventures. It's just a way of showing that from recording where we have come and where were we. Similarly, the kind of trunk calls we used to book in 1940s, 50s, and 60s. You just think about it that we say, hey Siri, call mom. So see, what can innovation and creativity be, and where can it bring us to? Just, and again, you got to be unique. You have to have a USP. Just because Google works, just because it works for Intel, it works for IBM, it works for Apple, it doesn't mean that it necessarily actually be working for this country. When you talk about that India, where the per capita income is $1,750, can it be compared in terms of innovation with United States, where per capita income would be something like $56,000, or maybe Japan, where per capita income would be $35,000? So innovations have to be region specific. Innovations have to be country specific. There has to be an attitudinal innovation, there has to be a cost innovation, there has to be a product innovation, and there has to be specifically a need innovation. Innovation which is specific to this country, which is specific to your university, which is specific to your way of learning, which is specific to anything you want to make sure that the lives of your mothers and sisters and all your colleagues and all your friends become better. And of course, the speed is absolutely critical, and the way market is moving and the speed with which disruptive technological advancement is happening. If you ask me one sentence which I will talk about, it is speed, speed, and speed. And it's absolutely critical. In the next 30 days, you can change the world by doing just three things. I'm not too sure, but Kellogg says that: change from copy to transform, to combine and make a combination of these. Again, you all can see my slide, it upside down, and I can simply say that the person reading it from the other end is reading it absolutely right. So this is my take on innovation and creativity. Be creative, be innovative, and make a better world, make a better community. Thank you so very much for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. If anyone has any question, he can ask.
Good evening, ma'am. This is Dr. Rachna Chaturvedi. I wanted to ask one question. Since Registrar Sir introduced to you that you are part of NEP 2020 also, my question was, what are the innovative pedagogies according to NEP 2020, which we can apply in our university?
It's not about NEP 2020. I have already said that I will give the example. I will give this award to COVID. So
Yes, ma'am.
see, what I feel is that it's not about NEP. It's not about India. It's not about your university. What I feel is that pedagogy would be essentially deeply integrated with technology. So when we talk about blended or hybrid mode, where all the concepts, research avenues, what are the newer fields coming in it, can be taught in an online mode by the best faculty members across the globe, because we, as it is, say that it has created a depth of distance, and where hands-on experiential experience can actually be done in the lab, actual physical labs. And in times to come, I'm not too sure whether we would even need these kind of labs, because way back, even in '95, we had simulators who could give us real life, almost near real life experience of flying.
Yes,
So I
that's
think if we have that kind of thing, so it's about technology integration in your pedagogy.
okay.
And believing, just one more sentence, that your students are equal partners in your knowledge economy. They can't be spectators.
Yes, ma'am.
Newer education is cross-cultural, cross-national, it is multinational, it is different directional, where students are equal partner in your teaching learning process. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Sir, I want to ask one
Yes,
question,
yes, go ahead.
ma'am. It was nice presentation. Basically, I want to ask, madam, ki the creativity and innovation when we talk about, people always resist the new things. People always resist the monotonous job, other than monotonous job. So, point is, the question is how to overcome with this kind of mental barrier from the student point of view or from the organization point of view, how to overcome with this mentality or the mental barriers related to creativity and innovation.
I have not been able to understand. So, I mean, you are saying if you don't like your
The
normal.
mental, the when we talk about the uh, human being, it is always resist the new things,
That's
right?
a
So
psychological.
general perception it was.
It's not a
Second,
perception. It's a fact that
it's a fact,
there is a general resistance to change, and that has
right?
been established by psychologists.
Right. And now when we boost the creativity and innovation, and because of the general fact that people resist it, how to overcome with this resistance made
You
by the
change.
people?
Just you change. When a child says that the sky is not blue, it is red, accept it. When a child says that from tomorrow I will no longer be writing on my copy and pen, rather than I will be writing something on my laptop and sending it to you as an email, and you accept it, and when he gives you an answer which does not match with the answer of 100 others, accept it. So what has happened is, one is you have promoted creativity, and when you are reading that answer, it is opening an eye for you. Okay, oh, this question can also be answered in this manner. So you are also getting enlightened and creative. And the way, whatever way you work, if you don't find your job good at all, just quit. But in your job itself, you can find 20, 30, 40 different ways of doing things. And if it is creative, if that way it gives you a very new experience. I remember we used to have all teachers, and only one Palestinian English teacher of mine, Theophilus, I want to acknowledge him today. He used to teach Shakespeare as if he was enacting it, and he used to say the world is a stage, and the way he used to say it. And then he used to ask us questions that why the poet is right now writing about the eyebrows and eyelids of the lady. And we used to have no answer. And after 5 minutes, he would tell us, because he has written on all other things: eyes, nose, cheeks, forehead. So think, I did my master's in 97. So 95, first year of my 94, 95, first year of my BSc honors, and I can still remember it.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Right?
much.
Anyone else? Students can also ask through their class faculty member.
Oh, they can get up and ask me anything, and I'm worried because they are the one who will be asking all those bombastic questions. Digitization is the need of the hour because, see, as a developing country, our resources are limited, and if we have to ensure that gross enrollment ratio and access to education at every nook and corner, even in the rural areas, then it becomes mandatory that we hand it over to the people with a good governance system where quality education can be delivered. This is why. Now, it is a separate debate, and maybe if I am an expert on benchmarking and ranking of the university. There was always an Oxford, there was always a Cambridge, there was always a Columbia. So why there was no grading or benchmarking of the universities earlier? There are universities that have been existing for 1,000 years. So why was this not done? See, it is also a very strong commercial business proposition where, today, see, the revenue generation in most of these universities is by the fee of the student. So when a student reads, X university is number one in this ranking, or Y university is number nine in this ranking, their aspiration to join those university and take admission in those university becomes much higher. So it is because of the percolation of the internet across the world, and some of the agencies started to measure some of the things which can't really be measured, because I feel that how a student would finally come out as a human being is the measurement of what kind of education has been delivered. But they try to measure it on teaching learning process, the perception of the employer. There are various things, research and innovation. So a system was created and it was disseminated through internet for the reason of attracting more and more international students and faculty members to that university. So I think we were never part of that. And again, it is, you can ask me, maybe I'll talk to you separately, because I want to tell you that, there is no point comparing apples and oranges. You can't even think of the kind of institutional income being generated by Stanford University. I think your entire, all MIT universities, group universities put together, you will not be able to match even 10% of that. So resources are also a very, very big thing in that. And I think If you ask me one parameter where we lack is, it is research, it is quality of research, it is citation index, it is, our publications, the quality of our publications where we don't learn. And it's not about that, what I have talked about, our freedom struggle. This is not my viewpoint. There are adequate PhD thesis available on it, and there is adequate. So anytime you have time, Mahesh Kumarji, just feel free to go about it. And of course, creativity is agree to disagree and disagree to agree. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
I think I'll have to take a leave because I have another meeting. They can connect with me on Twitter. It is Mamta R Agarwal 1, or they can write to me. My email ID is available on AICT website. So anything, but still someone wants to take, I can take one more.
Yes, yes. Quickly, if anyone. Over to Dean A&R, Professor P.K. Singh, for formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Professor Tyagi. Many, many thanks to Dr. Mamta Rani Agarwal ji for wonderful session. You talked about need for innovation. You talked about the academics, slowest moving business proposition. This appealed me too much. Then you talked about difference between invention and innovation. Then one sentence I got from your presentation, that is, being unique has no value in itself unless it gives the customer something of value. This was really great to read. Then you talk about 8 lessons about the innovation. So really, it was a wonderful session. Thank you very much. Thank you all the faculty members, our registrar, all dear students who have participated in this session taken by Dr. Mamta Rani Agarwal ji. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tyagi sir, for organizing such an event.